Hi everyone, my name is Casey Gerald, and this is a short film or documentary of sorts that focuses on gender roles and conforming to those specific roles as either a man or a woman, and primarily focusing on the answers of those closest to me, so friends, family, coworkers, those that I cherish and love and have in my life and value their opinions. So I wanted to see what their ideas and what their experiences from childhood to adult, different phases of adulthood, what kind of gender roles they've seen or they've fallen into either subconsciously or consciously, and kind of how that's affected their life and their view on life. I think you'll find that each answer is specific to that person, but they do correlate in ways. I think that it's also interesting to see how the men in the film answer in specific ways and how the women answer in specific ways as well. And that kind of justifies the fact that there are gender roles and there are things that we subconsciously, align ourselves with in society because of society, because of how we're raised, the area we grew up in, the media that we consume or choose not to consume. But I hope you enjoy, and I hope that you find enlightenment and think about your own experience with gender roles and what you've conformed to by choice or by force in your life. Thank you.
Please state your name, age, and where you grew up.
I'm Landon Gerald. I'm 20 years old and I'm from South Carolina.
Are you from a rural part, or what you would consider deep south?
I'd say rural part.
Graphically.
My name is Emma. I'm 24 years old, and I grew up in a small town in North Carolina called Albemarle.
My name is Sydney Conrad. I am 28, and I grew up on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina.
My name is Blake Strickland. Age is 23, about to be 24 on Friday, July 10th. And where I grew up is from Razor City, aka Tabor City, North Carolina.
My name is Carly. I'm 32 and I grew up in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Carl Grunder. I am 27 years old and I grew up in upstate New York.
Okay, what's that area like?
It's mostly rural, suburbia, some city. It's called Triple Cities. So it used to be very big in, let's say, early 1900s. World War I and World War II. Now it's kind of mostly like a college town with farmland on the outside.
That's fine.
Whitley, I'm 22 and I grew up in Tabor City, North Carolina.
Would you say that's a rural area?
Yeah.
Deep south?
Yeah.
Glenda Gerald, 51, Tabor City, North Carolina.
Scotty Woodrow Gerald, I'll be 54 next month, and raised in Red Bluff, South Carolina.
Would you both say that those are pretty rural, deep south areas?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you were growing up, what did you think it meant to be a real woman?
To be pretty, to hold myself well, and I think I grew up with the traditional idea of a woman shouldn't work and that a man should be the provider.
I think growing up where I did, in the fairly deep south, I guess, not necessarily only being a homemaker, because mom worked my entire life too, but being a mom, being a breadwinner, doing everything for everyone all the time.
You take care of the house, you cook, you clean, you take care of the kids, you just handle the stuff at the house. That's what I was raised to believe. That's what it is.
So for me, a real woman was the person who took care of the family. She took care of the home. She took care of the kids. She supported her husband. My mother was a stay-at-home mom for 20 plus years, and then went back in the workforce when I was about 12. So I saw her taking care of her husband and her family, helping her siblings, cooking meals, doing laundry. Her husband never had to do with those things. So that's what I saw as a woman, but did not say that they could not work out in the public.
I feel like my example was pretty strong. I feel like overall, like the concept of being a real woman was kind of portrayed by like you take care of your family, you take care of the people you love, you take care of your basic needs and everything you need to do. You kind of just like handle everything. It's a really like kind of a holistic view of like what being a functioning, I guess, part of society as a real woman.
Have you?
When you were growing up, what did you think it meant to be a real man?
I think it had to do with a solid foundation. So, a combination of, let's say, a real man, like bravery, but also humility, right? Owning your successes and failures. I don't think there is any true category for a real man. But my dad was a New York State trooper, so that's what I looked up to. And like police officers, firefighters, all of those were real men, big and strong, I guess, as a kid, but at the same time, humble.
Putting food on the table, paying the bills, making sure your lady's happy. Happy wife, happy life. Just doing the manly things.
Can you give me some examples of what you think manly things are?
Fixing up the house, mowing the grass, taking out the trash. Most of the cooking.
Having somebody take care of other than yourself.
As far as myself, I was raised men and women were equal, you know. We all worked in the garden. We all cleaned house as a young age. I was taught, you know, clean house, clean toilets. So as far as the difference between a man and a woman to me was the woman was the motherhood and the man was the fatherhood. And what I mean by that is she was nurturing. The father was the one that disciplined you. He was the one that brought the money home. Even though the mom worked, you know, she didn't make as much money as the male did. But she was the nurturer and he was the discipline.
So, how would you say that changed your view as what it takes to be a man?
As far as me being a man, all the men that were in my life were masculine. I mean, they were men's men, you know. I mean, they didn't go out looking for trouble or nothing, but they didn't back down from no trouble. As far as the people I was raised around, it was, you know, you take care of yourself. You don't depend on anybody else to take care of you.
Good.
Have you ever felt pressured to act a certain way because of your gender?
No. But in my eyes, no. But in other people's eyes, it could be different. Guessing how they grew up, looking at their dads, trying to imitate him and be him, or even other individuals in life, like athletes or anything. But me personally, no.
Just like to have everything done, to be like, to have all the answers.
Yeah. That was more in like high school when you're kind of exploring what to do with the stereotype as it's being presented to you, how to navigate the culture as you're kind of pushed into it. I'm as a queer man, there's levels of femininity and masculinity, and it comes and goes, and it could be a cycle. It could ebb and flow. So yeah, there's definitely moments where it's there's pressure to behave a certain way.
As far as me, I mean, being a Christian and stuff, no, I didn't think about having to be something I'm not. Now, as kids and teenagers and young peers, you know, you act a certain way around a different group.
Have you ever felt pressured to act a certain way because of your gender?
I have not. I was raised that I could be independent. I could do just the same as a guy could do. I should not depend on anyone else. I should only depend on myself. So, being a girl, I didn't think I couldn't do anything that a guy couldn't do. Um, so, I never felt pressured because I was a girl that I couldn't do something or I was inadequate.
Have you ever felt pressured to act a certain way because of your gender?
I think we all have, haven't we?
Have you ever felt pressured to act a certain way because of your gender?
Most definitely.
Yes, I have felt I felt pressured to be more like poised and feminine because I was raised to believe that that's what a man wants in a wife.
I think sometimes, and I used to like struggle with that a little bit more, like what is like ladylike or proper, sometimes doesn't really allow for like, I don't know, just purely having fun, like jumping around and kind of like acting silly or goofy or having a good time. So yeah, I have like previously struggled with that, but I feel like, like the more and more I get like more comfortable with myself and more knowledgeable about myself, I feel like I kind of back off of that a little bit more. Just like have fun and be yourself.
On more than one occasion. I remember so vividly growing up that my mom would always say to me, you have to hold yourself like a young lady would. And to a certain extent, I completely agree with that idea. But I also think some of that is coming from the way that she grew up and her very conservative views.
I think having kids is a big one. It took until I was 30 years old for me to come to terms with not wanting them with the pressure, and then for the people in my life to quit asking.
What's one gender stereotype you've experienced or noticed that you wish would change?
I think that in society that people should not judge your abilities based on your gender, because there are many women in the workforce who are just as powerful as men and can take leadership roles and do them much better than men. But the majority of the time, men are seen as more powerful and more can lead better. And in that aspect, men get paid more than women do for the same type of role, and may not do the job as well as a woman would. So that's something that needs to be changed. Is you should be paid based on your merit and not based on what your gender is, and also what type of education that you've got. Because if I've got 30 years experience and you've got one but a master's degree, doesn't mean that you're smarter than me and you can do a better job than I can.
I think men not being able to be emotional. I think that's a big one. Like they're women are told even from the time we're kids that we're emotional creatures, and sure we are. But it's made to seem like we're more emotional than men, and I don't think that's true. I think they're just kind of forced to not feel their feelings.
That gender is tied to masculinity and femininity. So because you're a man, you need to behave or express masculinity, whereas in my opinion, gender is a form of expression, and masculinity and femininity are kind of like yin and yang, right? You can't have one without the other. So everybody has masculine and feminine attributes. So there could be a very feminine man and a very masculine woman, and both of those are true.
One thing that I've seen super prevalent in the media right now is younger women marrying or dating older men. And I think a lot of that, also something that's centered around that, is the religious aspect of it. And I'm not docking the religious aspect of it at all, but every time you hear them talk about it online, you always see them say, and we pray together every night, and he's the one that makes all of the decisions and he holds all the power. And you always wonder, do they not want to hold any power? Do they not want to have some say in their relationship? And, you know, growing up, I always envisioned myself marrying somebody a little bit older and never having to work. And the older I've gotten and the more I've seen and the more I've lived, the more worried I get for those younger girls who are my age, who do this blindly, and in 10 years might end up with nothing.
That I'm not a good mom because I'm young.
Nice. Can you give me a little bit more about that?
Oh, yeah. So people assume because I had my first child when I was 17 that I'm not a good mom. That automatically that makes me a bad mom because I don't have as much wisdom as a 30-year-old mother or a 25-year-old mother, but that's just not true. And I think I'm a good mom.
You are a good mom.
I've never been stuck in that situation as far as gender. I mean, I'm a firm believer that, women can do the exact thing that men can do. Some of them better than men, some of them ain't. But as far as the physical aspect, you get out there and cutting trees down, and, or doing construction, a man's going to be a little bit more physical at that. But as far as, like banking or hospitals, doctors, lawyers, a woman is just as equal as a man.
Do you think social media, TV, or advertising has influenced how people are expected to look or behave?
Absolutely. I think that the men are kind of being pushed to, like, protein max, go to the gym, focus on yourself, make sure that you're always working out, eating healthy, and like kind of being a pinnacle of like, success as well on top of that. And I think that that's harmful because it's just like really high expectations, super demanding. And then I think for women, more of the like physical of like, yeah, same style of like, you have to do the Pilates, but you also have to be in a matching set. And then you have to like, if you have clear skin, like, all this stuff of just kind of being, again, like a pinnacle, like example. So I think there's a lot of pressure for both genders through messages from social media and advertising.
I think yes, on both sides of the spectrum. I think on one side, women are influenced to be more independent and hold their own, and I think on the other side, women are influenced to stay in the traditional gender roles rather than branch out and do what they might want to do. So I think it's kind of tit for tat, but yeah, for sure.
Do you think that today's media has more of a positive or negative effect on gender identity?
For sure. I think it has a negative effect on gender identity for men and women, honestly.
Yeah.
Can you give me a little bit more?
Basically, like, you get followers based on what you look like or what you do, what you have. It's just basically your image is who you are on social media.
Just fake.
Yeah, and everybody knows you for social media, not what you are like in the real world.
Do you compare yourself to those on social media? Or have you experienced that?
Sometimes, but not really. Most time it's just a script that they put on.
Yes. I think a lot of our media depicts how we see ourselves and the lens that we are supposed to view ourselves under.
Yes. Or right now, kids especially, they're like in early teens. They're looking to be like other influencers with body modifications and stuff like that. Can play a toll on your mind, especially younger kids, trying to imitate them. But me, no.
So I think the whole like goal of really any like time that we're experiencing is always like something that is unattainable. And that's kind of what social media like thrives off of, an advertisement kind of thrives off of that thing that like you can't really blanket and give to everyone as an expectation. And I think that's why everyone gets so obsessed with it, is because we can't, like, it's impossible to be all the same. There's a reason we're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
All of that. I think there's always going to be that pressure in media, right? Of to look a certain way, to be able to fit in. But I do think it's shifting.
In a positive way?
For the most part.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, absolutely. We entered an era where it was, let's say, I don't know how long ago, but it was women's equality, where women can perform to the same level as men. Uh, and I think now we are hitting a point where people have kind of misconstrued that, in a sense of people are arguing, well, women should be women and men should be men, boys should be boys. But I think what they're missing is those movements were for equality, for people's choice to, let's say, live a traditional life,
Mm-hmm.
or be their own person and be independent and live a man's life, or whatever that used to be back in the day, where you had breadwinners versus people who stayed at home. And now we're kind of getting back to the point where everyone is kind of pushing hyper masculinity on boys, which is actually even more fragile than what masculinity used to be. So it's very interesting to observe as a queer person who, again, navigates masculinity and femininity regularly. Um, it's just unfortunate because I think people are arguing for more masculine boys because there is a fear of femininity there. But I don't know, you guess there's also bravery in acceptance